Yo, welcome to the first episode. Yes, the very first episode of the Review Podcast. Now, I'm kind of like going back and forth with the title. I don't know if I'm just going to constantly just give it that plain, just generic type name, the Review Podcast. It may grow on me, just like the Take One Podcast did. But for now, this is what it's going to be called, the Review Podcast. Now, simply, that's exactly what it is. It's just a review podcast. I'm going to be reviewing trailers to movie shows, whatever, reviewing shows, and I'm going to be reviewing movies, most of all. I might do some episodes of shows reviewing it, just like I'm going to do on the next episode. This episode is all about trailers and all that goodness. So it was a lot of trailers that dropped like toward the end of last week, all the way to this week, that I wanted to cover, and I didn't want to just cover all of it on the Take One Podcast and all that stuff. So I was like, man, let me just go ahead and just put it on the Review Podcast, because that's exactly what it is. I wasn't trying to review trailers, but hey, I mean, it's whatever. But we have quite a few trailers to get into. Some of them I have a lot of thoughts on. Some of them I don't have that many thoughts on. But here we go. So the first trailer I'm going to be reviewing is Fantasy Island. Now, Fantasy Island is based off of a TV show that used to come on back in the day. And so they took that and basically gave it a twist to where it's not all pleasure, it's not all just hijinks or, whatever that show had entailed. It was more of a lighthearted. This is a horror thriller. And it gave me the vibes in a certain part of the trailer where you have a girl that's being like, that she's like tied to a chair and some stuff falls on her. And it just kind of reminded me of Saw. But then the rest of it kind of like put me in the mind frame of Get Out, which exactly what it really did feel like a Jordan Peele movie. But basically the whole premise of it is that people are invited to this island, this fantasy island, where you get to live out your fantasies and they come true. But the only caveat is that it's not all fantasy, it's not all paradise. It's sort of a nightmare. And there is a twist to something up in the movie. I don't know exactly what it is. I haven't seen it yet, but you can tell that there is some type of mystery involving with the island or whatever, why they need the people, how they're making these fantasies come true, and why it is the way it is, because the whole thing is kind of freaky and it is creepy. Michael Pena in the trailer does a really good job. I don't know how he is in the movie, but in the trailer he delivers a creepiness. And when you think of Michael Pena, you really think of like comedy and stuff, and he does deliver a lot of comedy and a lot of stuff that he's in. I haven't seen any of like a whole bunch of the serious stuff that he's been in, so I don't know if he does it really good, if he is better in comedy more than he is drama. But in this trailer, he comes off creepy as hell. He is the character that he is, and that's what I see from this trailer. And then you got the black woman that's up in there. I don't know the actress's name, but she's kind of creepy as well. And it's part of the trailer where her nose started bleeding. And it's like a lot of chaos and craziness happening on this island. And it's like, what the hell is going on? So, I mean, for a first trailer, it delivered what it needs to deliver. It got you hooked. It's like, okay, Fantasy Island, oh, this is gonna be a, whatever type film, type of movie. And then it's like you just go further into the trailer and then it's like, oh my God, this looks creepy, this looks scary, it is actually pretty damn good. I liked it. I thought that, it really did get me invested to where I want to invest my money in seeing this movie. How the other trailers are going to handle, I don't know, but this really did draw me in, and I am really looking forward to seeing this. And before I forget, the music that accompanied it, like I said, it puts me in the mind frame of Get Out, Us, like a Jordan Peele type movie. The music is creepy. The music is creepy up in the trailer, but like I said, I can't wait to see this. Come out in 2020. And I will be there opening weekend to check this out and seeing what it delivers. Hopefully it's not just your ordinary, typical, generic horror film like Countdown. But that review is coming soon. But on to the next trailer, which is The Invisible Man. Now, this movie, this trailer looks great. It really does look great. I'm not entirely sure if this was supposed to be a part of the whole monster universe thing that they had going on, where they was trying to put out the Mummy movie. They came out like what was that, 2000? I think it was 2017. Was it last year? Yeah, but the recent Mummy movie with Tom Cruise. I don't know if this movie was supposed to be connected, but now they decided not to have it connected because that movie didn't do so well and wasn't received so well. I'm not entirely sure, but the trailer did look good. It wasn't too far off the hinges as far as like what the Mummy movie did, where it was like completely went from realism to just fantasy. This one seemed like something that can actually happen. I mean, of course, we don't have the technology that could turn a person invisible and do all that stuff. But I would believe this movie can happen more than a Mummy movie and all that stuff. But it looked crazy. So basically, from the premise we got is like a jealous, kind of stalkerish ex-boyfriend or ex-husband or whatever of this woman, and he ends up, faking his death and basically leaving her money in a will and everything else. But the twist is that he invented something that can turn him invisible so that he can make her life a living hell. Basically just ruining her life, make her seem crazy to everybody and all that stuff, and just continue to torture her because he's a sadistic son of a bitch. And that's basically what the whole premise I got from the trailer was. It is a horror and a thriller type of film. It looks crazy good. And just speaking of like the last movie, you got the actress from Us up in this movie. When I was talking about Fantasy Island and how the feeling of Get Out and all that stuff, and Us with the music, you got the actress from Us up in this movie who is playing the main character, and I've been impressed. With her and her skill. I need to get her name, but I've been impressed with her from seeing her in Us, and seeing her. She was in The Kitchen this year. And with Tiffany Haddish and Melissa McCarthy. So I'm very curious to see how she goes. Now I don't think she's gonna give away a performance like Lupita Nyong'o did up in Us, but it looks like she does a pretty decent job. But yeah, like this trailer really did get me invested and got me really curious of what they're gonna do with this movie. Is it, how is it gonna do? It looks like it's gonna be a good movie. I hope they did a good job with it. And just like Fantasy Island, I hope this isn't a just generic type of horror film that's just kind of a throwaway, a cash grab just to get money for the studio, and then bam, we up out of there. I just hope it ain't that. But looking up the name, Elizabeth Moss is her name, that plays the main character that was in this movie and Us and in The Kitchen. And I really did like her. And this is a Blumhouse production film or whatever. And I don't know, it kind of seems like it, but yeah, I mean, Blumhouse has a record of like putting out good horror films and some bad ones. And not even just horror films, but just films, they back and forth. But they're cheaply made and bring in a lot of money, so you can expect a lot from them. And that could be a good thing and bad thing. That if he constantly producing and putting out horrible films back to back, and we're gonna keep getting them because us as an audience, this is what is what we like. And I'm not talking about myself, but these are the movies that we pay to go see. So in turn, these are the movies that we like. But hopefully it's not that. Hopefully it's really good. So another trailer is from Pixar. Now, Pixar, did we have a movie from Pixar this year? Toy Story 4. I almost forgot about that. But, I think we usually have maybe about 2 Pixar movies a year. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. But in any case, it's a new movie from Pixar named Soul, which is coming out next year, and it is a black theme type of black theme type of movie where you have a jazz or just a musician who ends up dying and he becomes a ghost. Don't know too much more of what the premise entails, but I mean, I got a inside out, god dang it, upside down, wow, an inside out feel, because that's how the character is, that's how his character is animated. So I mean, but the animation is good. Like Pixar, that's one thing. Anything coming from Disney that's animated, as far as like the movies between the Disney movies like Frozen and stuff, or the Pixar movies, you're gonna get crazy, realistic, good animation. Not even just that, but great animation. No matter if you don't like the style of it or whatever, but you're going to get top of the line. And that's basically what I look at it, because you can look at other movies like DreamWorks, or what is it? What's the other ones? The Minions. God, Illumination. You see them type of like movies or whatever, and they have good. I mean, a lot of times they have really good animation, but then when you get to a Pixar, it's like they just knock it out the ballpark. Like they just have money to put in these movies, and they be looking crazy good just with the textures and stuff, making them look realistic. And this movie isn't the exception. Like this movie, you can tell that a lot of money was put into this, and it looks crazy good. It's just like, basically it's a teaser. It's not even really a real full length trailer, but it looks pretty decent. You got Jamie Foxx as the lead character, so I don't know. Like, I don't know what truly to expect from it. I don't know what the premise of the movie is, so more than likely, well, when we get the next trailer, we're gonna get the premise, but more than likely it has something to do with that. Maybe the guy who dies, he's a magician, he dies, but then he wants to still fulfill life. He still wants to live, and so he's going on a quest to come back to life, or take another body, or do something. I don't know. Maybe that's it. I could be totally wrong, but I mean, hey, it's whatever. They didn't give us anything to work with, but it looks pretty decent. I'm definitely gonna go check that out. And so the next trailer is The Mandela Effect. Now, if anybody isn't don't know what the Mandela Effect is, the Mandela Effect is when you can recall a memory that never really happened. Like one of the famous things, or two examples, that people believe that Nelson Mandela, which is why they call it that, died a long time ago. Well, way longer, like way long before he actually did die. And people would swear that he died then and all this stuff. In actuality, he didn't. That it just kind of like one of those type of scenarios. And another one was the Berenstain Bears. People thought they were Berenstain Bears. Just had like a different name of it. They could swore that it was something else other than what it really was. And so it got a lot of people thinking that maybe we're in a simulation, and life is just a simulation. And like another civilization put it together, and we just don't really know. Everything feels real. We believe that everything is real, and it's not. So that's kind of like one of the things that this movie is going off of. A guy, he loses his daughter, and after her death, he starts to see things, and really, it's kind of like weird because it's Brian Cox, who played Daredevil in the Daredevil Netflix series, who's seeing weird things. But in any case, so he's like witnessing all this weird stuff, and he's starting to believe that we're in a simulation and all this stuff, and he's starting to like get more into the Mandela Effect. And I don't know, like the movie looks trippy. The movie does look like it has a bit of a lower budget, but that's not always the bad thing in every single case. But at the same time, it could be a bad thing. But the trailer did get my attention. It is kind of going off of a good little premise that brought me into it. So I'm very curious to see what this movie is going to say, how this movie is going to handle that subject matter. I mean, it ain't a real big subject matter or real serious, but I'm just curious. Like, I'm a person that's really into stuff like that. Weird stuff. I'm a person that I believe that there's aliens. I believe that there's ghosts. I believe there's an afterlife. Nothing specific, but I do believe that people do see ghosts. That people see like supernatural, paranormal things. I believe in that, and like I believe that there's a possibility of us maybe being a simulation, maybe us, maybe like parallel worlds, like multi-universe, infinite Earths type things. I'm a person that is open to a lot of that stuff. And this movie it really sparks that curiosity. So I'm very curious to see what this movie has to offer when it comes to all that stuff. So going to the next trailer, which is the final and last trailer for this podcast, which is the trailer for the new movie Wendy, which is coming out next year. So Wendy is just a movie just through the eyes of Wendy from Peter Pan. And looking at this trailer, I got kind of a where the wild things are type vibe from it. I haven't seen the movie, but just in the way it was shot, it kind of like put me in that mind frame of that's what it is. This is one of those movies where I don't think it's going to appeal to a lot of people. I can picture a lot of people looking at this trailer and being like, oh, yeah, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Because, I mean, it really doesn't entail too much. Like, I don't know. I mean, Peter Pan was mentioned up in this trailer. I don't think Peter Pan is in this movie. You just got Wendy and the Lost Boys and all that stuff. I'm kind of confused. Myself personally, I don't know if this movie takes place after Peter Pan. Maybe something happened to him or before. But Peter Pan was mentioned by Whitney in the narration, so more than likely Peter Pan had to exist at some point, but it doesn't have anything magical. Everything seems more realistic. It doesn't take a whole fantasy type vibe to it. I know in part of the trailer, it is mentioned like one of the kids is telling Wendy like we can fly this and that. She's like, for real, we can fly? And then you see them jumping off the cliff, and then the next scene is them underwater. So you don't see anything where they're flying or anything. You don't see Captain Hook or anything of that nature. More than likely, it's kind of like a realistic story of Peter Pan. Maybe Peter Pan is kind of like a metaphor, for never getting old. Maybe it was a tale of Peter Pan in the book, and so they just took it to their advantage. And I believe it was something to where maybe the island is, maybe, I don't know, it's confusing, Maybe it was just something to where the kids were on a boat with their parents and they got separated. The kids all went to this island, and so now to entertain themselves and kill time, that they're sitting around just imagining things and playing and blah, 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 coming up with these stories and, never grow old. We're never going to grow old. Maybe it's just something like that. I don't know. But, I mean, I don't know. I would have to see. Right now, the trailer don't really do anything for me. It doesn't really deliver anything that it was like, this is what this movie is about. Come see it. It just, I don't know what to think about it. Maybe if I see another trailer, maybe it will give more, more of a jolt to where it's like, yeah, you need to come see this. But right now, it was like, I don't know. I see almost every movie, whether they look truly, really, really interesting to me or not. I'll go see it because you never know what you'll like. You will never know what you'll like. So I end up going to go see this. More than likely, I'll end up really liking it. I ain't going to say I'm going to love it. I'm not even going to go that far. I'm going to just say maybe I end up liking it. Who knows? Who knows? And so, with that said, that ends off this first episode of the review podcast. I was about to say the Take One podcast, but this is the review podcast, and that ends the first episode. Like, thank you guys for listening. And if you haven't checked out the Take One podcast, go ahead and check that out, as well as the other new podcast that I put on my channel, Box Office Talk, where I'm talking about the box office and everything that has to do with it. Again, thank you guys for joining me. I will be having episode 2, 3, and 4 within days of each other. So I'm going to try to put episode 2 out probably, I don't know, a day from now, or I don't know, whenever I put this up, it won't be too long after that, because I'm going to be reviewing the Disney stuff that I watch of Disney Plus, which is the first episode to The Mandalorian, first episode to High School Musical, the series. Don't know why they name it that, but okay. And then I'm going to be reviewing Noel, which is a Christmas movie on Disney Plus. And that's all was going to be on that episode. So stay tuned for that. And until next time, peace out. Hey, before you guys leave, make sure you hit that like button as well as that subscribe button. And you see that little bell? Make sure you hit that to turn on your notifications. That way you'll be notified for anything that appears on my channel. Hope to see you guys next time. Peace out.